Hello, guys. Today I wanted to compile a list of my favorite heroes and villains from the Marvel and DC universe. A lot of these characters, for me, were heavily influenced by the 90s cartoons, the Batman and X-Men series. But I'm sure I'm not alone in that. There's a lot of people that, that's where they really got their influences for loving these characters. And with that, let's begin. Okay, to kick off this list at number 10, I would have to go with Cyclops, Mr. Scott Summers. This guy, when I was a kid, I wanted those powers so bad. I mean, I know it was kind of a curse, he suffered from it, but when he shot those beams, I mean, it was like nothing could stop this guy. It it was just nothing. During the animated series, I really loved how Wolverine was basically always like a hater between him and Jean Grey, and Cyclops. Though he kind of had the weird eyes, he still got the girl. And like I said, those powers were just amazing. What couldn't this guy destroy with those beams? I just loved Cyclops when I was younger. So at number 10, we got Cyclops. Coming in at number 9, I have none other than Charles Xavier, Professor X. This guy is the ultimate teacher general. He 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 was humble. He had so much humility. I just, and not to mention, he was one of the most powerful mutants in the entire Marvel universe. Of just that guy, he was just so awesome, and he's always been portrayed so well in the animated series as well as in the movies. It just, what more can I say? It's Professor X. Love that guy. At number 8, I have none other than the Joker, the craziest man in all the comics. The Joker is, I mean, you know, you know about him. He's just a mad clown that doesn't care about money or dying. I mean, he's not afraid of anything. He's just for the sake of chaos and the thrill of life. He just on a whim. He loves the back and forth with Batman. It's just that's his ultimate high or whatever. He just in the real world they would have executed that guy a long time ago, but he just on this ride where he just always getting into trouble. He displays intelligence, but his execution isn't for any earthly gains. He's just for the sake of chaos. I mean, just a madman. You just gotta love him for it. He's probably the most likable villain of all times, the Joker. Coming in at number 7, I have Storm. Storm was always my favorite when I was younger. She was so beautiful, so strong, and she had the ability to control weather. Um, Back in the 90s, I grew up in a place that had terrible weather, thunderstorms that were just horrible. So I really related to her character. I wish I could have had her power to take care of some of these tornadoes and things like that. But Storm was powerful, very powerful, but she had such humility as well as discipline, similar to Professor X. She didn't abuse her power, even though sometimes she lost control, but not of her own will. If she was a villain, it just would have been a cheat code. But coming in at number 7, I definitely have Storm. Coming in at number 6, I have the Marvel Revolutionary, Magneto. Magneto not only could control metal, but he could use the particles in air to grant himself levitation. Man, that was crazy. I just love Magneto. He wore a helmet specifically to prevent Professor X from probing his mind. And the dynamic between those two stories just made me love the character even more. And Magneto was basically like Malcolm X to Charles Xavier's Martin Luther King, where this guy was fighting for mutant rights by all means necessary, and he did not play. I mean, he was looking for smoke. I've always been a big fan of Magneto. Next up on my list, none other than Clayface. Oh my god. As a kid, I just loved Clayface so much. The, the animated series, he had such torment when he was trying to control his powers. He was freaking out. It's like controlling the nerve. I can't control it. It's just that stuck with me so much. But once he's beginning to master his power, he could just manipulate his body into any shape or form, a weapon, or he could just turn into a different person, clothes and all. I mean, this guy was amazing, and I just realized early that his power was really, really a lot. He was more of a problem than what was led on in the animated series. But if this guy really was, reaching his full potential, I mean, he would be a handful because, I mean, he could disappear into the world and look like anybody, or just create an axe out his hand and just chop your head off or something. I mean, Clayface was that guy, man. Always been one of my favorites to this day. I still love Clayface. Coming in at number 4, none other than Apocalypse. Wow, Apocalypse so scary when I first saw this guy. I mean, the voiceover, the actor. I mean, he was so intimidating and just godly like, and he just seemed like he would never be defeated. He had such tremendous knowledge, which was interesting. It's like he was very powerful, but it was his knowledge, and he was so old. It just seemed like he just wouldn't be able to stop this guy. Later on, I actually began to like him more when I realized that they kind of tied in the ancient Egyptian, basically kind of like Anunnaki history into his character. I just really fell in love with this guy. I was so anticipating the movie that came out, but it was a bit underwhelming. But still, I still love Apocalypse. The guy's just a great character, written very well, and hopefully we'll get more of him in the future. Coming in at number 3, none other than a Dark Knight, Batman. Man, I mean, everyone knows about Batman. I just ever since the '80s when I saw that first movie with the Penguin and Catwoman, I was I was just a huge Bats was that guy. I mean, realistically, he cannot whoop Superman. I just don't see a way he could defeat Superman, even with all his gadgets and wealth. It just, he's not gonna be Superman. But putting all that to the side, his whole story, training with the League of Shadows, always being one step ahead. The constant trauma that he goes through with his parents. I mean, it's just so, he's such a perfect anti-hero, um, vigilante. It just, man, the story, it just has endless replay value. I mean, the games, everything is just perfect about this guy. Just He may be the greatest superhero ever. And when it comes down to it, he has no superpowers. It's fantastic. It's just he's so awesome. I love Batman. So that's why I got him on my list at number three. At number two, the most badass superhero, anti-hero ever, Wolverine. I mean, this guy, those claws, his temperament, um, he ages slow. He ain't backing down from no smoke. Wolverine is a problem. He's like um Stone Cold Steve Austin for real. I mean, this man, how can you not love this character? Wolverine is just like a ball of lightning. You know, it's just a perfect little soldier. They tamper with him, and he's been through several wars. He's just been all over the world kicking butt, and he just one of those tragic heroes. But he still has that soft spot in anime series. I love his relationship with Jubilee. Like I said earlier, he was always in love with Jean Grey, and she used to kind of give him mixed signals, I think. But Wolverine is just the baddest dude, man. If you ever get into a fight, that's the guy to have on your team. Besides, he can take a lick like no one with that healing factor. So, at number two, always been my second best hero. Number one gonna surprise you, but number one was always my guy. But at number two, most definitely Wolverine. All right, coming in at number one, you're not gonna believe it, but my favorite all-time comic book hero slash villain is Gambit. Gambit. I just love Gambit with the Louisiana accent. The deck of cards just fascinated me. Like, he threw cards. He had a pole stick that he fought with, but it was just his laid back, cool kind of persona. Like I say, I grew up in an area where I knew a lot of people with that accent. I mean, the Cajun guy, just Gambit, man, that was always my guy, man. And not to mention, like I say, he could charge up the cards, and he throw them. Just always slick, got a kind of sassy, kind of smart remark. Um, he just was that guy. Come on now. Gambit. That's always been my favorite guy. I know no one else on the internet. He's not no one else's favorite guy. He hasn't been portrayed in any movies. I think they had like council movies maybe, but I mean, just from the animated series, Gambit's always been my guy. So he trumps everybody. So there we go. That's my list. Gambit, number one. All right, appreciate it, guys.